To anyone that has a disability or disorder, what's the worst thing a teacher's ever said about?
I have a neuromuscular disorder called dystonia, and it's a functional disorder, so things trigger it. In 10th grade, I had fitness at the end of the day, like the very end of the day, like 5th period. And we were doing this exercise this one day, pushing like a 25-pound weight across the floor, like on a towel. And about halfway through the class, this triggered my back, and my back really started to hurt, and I started to get like this, because that's what happens. And I told my teacher, and she was like, "You're fine. It's almost the end of the day." So I was like, okay. So I kept going. A couple minutes later, I literally couldn't walk and I couldn't breathe because my rib and my hip were crushing my right lung. So I went over to my teacher and I was like, I need to call my mom. I need to go home now. I need my meds. I couldn't bring my meds to school because they were opiates. So, controlled substance. Meanwhile, I could barely even talk to her and tell her I needed help because I literally could not breathe. And she said, "No, you can wait." Part two. One of my good friends heard what was going on, and she knew about what was going on with me, sort of thing. She was like, she needs to call her mom. The teacher then got a little bit concerned because she could hear that I literally couldn't breathe, because this is what my breathing sounded like. After she clued into the fact that I literally couldn't breathe, this bitch did a 180. It was no longer, you need to wait till the end of the day. It was now, we need to call an ambulance. I was bawling my eyes out, couldn't breathe, and so much pain. And I'm like, I don't need an ambulance. I just need to call my mom and get my meds. I just need to go home. And she was like, oh, no. So she called 911. When the paramedics got there, they needed to search my bag for whatever reason. And the vice principal was there helping them search my bag. The vice principal then found my vape, which was a suspendable offense. I'm sorry, part three. The vice principal looked at me and goes, "Did you smoke something?" I was like, "No, bitch. I have a fucking disorder." Keep in mind, this shit was like a box mod with fucking zero nick. There was Anyway, so the paramedics picked me up and put me on the stretcher. There were so many exits they could have taken, considering it was the end of the day and everyone was in the atrium. But they decided to roll me through the entire school to go out the front door at the end of the day. So I was lying on the stretcher, bawling my fucking eyes out, also strapped down to it because I was losing my shit because I literally didn't need to go to the hospital, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna tell my mom about the vape. So I was losing my shit, so they strapped me down to the fucking stretcher and rolled me out while I was scream crying and couldn't breathe in front of literally the entire student body. And then they took my ass to the hospital. I can't even put into words the embarrassment I felt when I went back to school a couple days ago.
I got you. So in the midst of all this, no one fucking called my parents. No one thought, oh, this 16-year-old girl can't fucking breathe. She's strapped to a stretcher in an ambulance on her way to the hospital. Her parents work an hour away. Maybe we should fucking call them and let them know, maybe? Anyway, so my vice principal came with me in the ambulance to the hospital. And when we got there, she called my parents. As I previously mentioned, my parents work an hour away. And the whole time we were just sitting there waiting for my parents or waiting for the doctor to come see me. I couldn't breathe. I was strapped to the stretcher, freaking the fuck out still. And the fucking vice principal is just grilling me about the vape she found in my bag, which was making me cry even harder and making the situation even worse. Within the next hour, my parents got to the hospital, and the first thing this bitch did was tell them about the vape. Let me know if you want a part 5. Last part. Also, let me know if you want me to do more story times. Anyways, my mom didn't get mad about the vape because she was more focused on the situation at hand. She wasn't even that concerned about me because we both knew that I just needed my medication. This was not the first time that this had happened. She was just more concerned with how the school decided to handle it. Anyways, I spent the rest of the night, probably 5.5 to 6 hours at the hospital, and the doctor sent me home with the same meds I told my teacher I needed to go home and take in the first place. The fucking embarrassment I had a couple days later when I went back to school, what I can't even put into words. All of my friends knew what was going on, and I was fine with them knowing. But I really wasn't looking to have the entire fucking student body see me having a fucking panic attack, not being able to breathe, strapped down to a stretcher, being rolled into an ambulance. So yeah.